The aftershocks of last night's political earthquake in New York City are still reverberating throughout New York and well beyond. 33-year-old state assemblyman Zoran Mamdani effectively won the Democratic mayoral nomination. Mamdani is a self-described Democratic socialist, and he won more than 43% of the vote in the first round of ranked choice voting. He beat out the one-time political powerhouse Andrew Cuomo, who quickly conceded. Mamdani capitulated. Mamdani catapulted to the top of the pack, mainly on a message of affordability and change.
If this campaign has demonstrated anything to the world, it is that our dreams can become reality. Dreaming demands hope. And when I think of hope, I think of the unprecedented coalition of New Yorkers that we have built.
My panel is back. David?
Yeah, I mean, it is a political earthquake, as you described it. There's no doubt about that. And I think in a bunch of different directions, the aftershocks will be felt. Clearly, there is an active conversation going on inside the Democratic Party right now. A party that has already been soul-searching since the 2024 loss to Donald Trump last fall. And now that soul-searching is going to get turbocharged because what they've just seen here is a potential roadmap to success in New York in a primary context. But they're trying to figure out now, well, how do we apply this to more purple areas that they need to win in order to be a successful national party again? And there's no easy answer to that because there's a debate here. Is it Mamdani's progressive policies? Lots of centrists say, no, that's not it, though AOC and Bernie Sanders will tell you that is exactly part of the winning formula. Or is it that a young person appealed to young voters in an authentic way and was a consistent messenger about affordability, and the policy specifics are not part of the necessarily need to be part of the winning equation, that somebody, a more centrist Democrat, can also present an authentic way of reaching young and new voters with a consistent message on something like affordability and have success. That remains to be seen. But my goodness, look at the full spectrum inside the Democratic Party is on display today in terms of the reaction to it.
Let's just look at one of his YouTube ads on the issue of affordability.
It's working and middle-class New Yorkers who are being pushed out of this city because it's the most expensive one in the country. And so I'm going to ask you one more time. We're running to freeze the...
Jamie, New York native?
I just want to say this is not a new issue. Does anyone remember Jimmy McMillan, the campaign?
The
rent is too damn high.
He didn't win, though.
He did not win, but I'm just saying the economic issues are there. And there's also a real question, if he is elected, can he come through with some of these promises that he wants in a very expensive city? I would add two things to what David said. One is, I think you cannot ignore there was a big anti-Andrew Cuomo vote. People do not like him, and we saw that on display. And then just the question of New York versus national. There are two very high-profile governor's races, your home state, New Jersey, Mickey Sherrill. In Virginia, Abigail Spanberger. These are centrists who look as if they could really win those states. Very different from New York.
Yeah,
Can I jump off that? Because I think it's a really important point because of the two candidates specifically there, which I think are representative of Democrats right now are in this kind of very Democrat space of trying to figure out how to position themselves in relation to the likely Democratic nominee, because they're unsure about his policies, and they know that if you're in a certain district or you're in a certain state, you're going to get killed if you back him or support him or even acknowledge his existence on some level. What I think stood out more than anything else was how he campaigned, the authenticity of his campaign, which is Mikey Sherrill, which is Abigail Spanberger. It's what the class of 2018, kind of the folks who got the majority for Democrats in the House in 2018 were very representative of that. We saw it a little bit, Pat Ryan, who's I think in his third term now in Congress, Ruben Gallego in the Senate as well. it's not necessarily the specific policies that have to be cookie cutter for every single race or every single district. It's the approach and the willingness to engage.
So those are all critical points when you look at what this means nationally. On that, if you look at the other side of the aisle, what Republicans are saying, particularly in New York, they're loving this. Just not necessarily as the mayor of New York, but just on their political good fortune, the way that they see it. Elise Stefanik, who is a member of the House Republican congressional delegation, potentially somebody who will run for governor in New York, said the following: Kathy Hochul, the worst governor in America, you just got a communist anti-Semite elected as the Democrat nominee for mayor in New York City. You have refused to disavow his dangerous rhetoric and policies, and you will be held accountable by New Yorkers. And mark my words, Kathy Hochul, we are going to fire you in 2026 to save New York. Okay, so that's
You think potentially running for
the
governor?
Republican side. But this is important. And this is, we just got this from Congresswoman Laura Gillen. Now, she is a Democrat representing New York. She unseated a vulnerable Republican. Again, this is a fellow Democrat who just said the following: Socialist Zoran Mamdani is too extreme to lead New York City. His entire campaign has been built on unachievable promises and higher taxes, which is the last thing New York needs. Beyond that, Mr. Mamdani has called to defund the police and has demonstrated a deeply disturbing pattern of unacceptable anti-Semitic comments, which stoke hate at a time when anti-Semitism is skyrocketing. He is the absolute wrong choice for New York.
Well, there is reason for Democrats to be worried. Donald Trump gained significantly on Kamala Harris in November, including in New York City, which of course is this huge blue stalwart. So there is reason for people like her to be concerned about that trend. But at the same time, you have Mamdani, who really talked about some of these economic issues that Trump was so good at, really appealing to working class voters. And that was something that Harris really struggled with. He's talking about rent freezes. He's talking about raising the minimum wage. Those are things that she didn't necessarily fully commit to. So I think that is a real opening for him. But at the same time, we still have to see how he performs in the general. You have Eric Adams still running as an independent. Cuomo's opening the door potentially to running as an independent. So I'm really watching that election.
One of the through lines of Stefanik's statement and the Democrat Laura Gillen was what Gillen says: unacceptable anti-Semitic comments. This is something that he struggled with during his campaign, and it is not going to go away. A whole series of things that he has said and tried to, in some instances, get right on.
And I would imagine Eric Adams is going to have that front and center in his campaign as he goes forward for this general election.
Yeah.
Let's discuss this with former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. Hi, Mayor. Thanks for being here. We were just talking in the break before, and you said, look, in New York City, expect the unexpected. That's what we're seeing here.
You know, Pam, I am having good flashbacks. In 2013, literally 6 weeks before the election, I was in fourth place. And on election night, I won without a runoff. And Zoran Mamdani has done an amazing, even faster version of that exact same thing. He was 1% in the first poll this year. And as of last night, he was hovering around 43. So this is amazing. And to his great credit, I really want to say, because I think a lot of people don't know him yet, he's a very smart, incredibly hardworking guy who's got some vision. He's actually got some passion. He's got some vision. And that's what people are responding to. It's interesting. Cuomo attempted a kind of fear-based campaign, kind of Trumpian in my view, telling people there were all these dangers around them in New York City and they needed a strong man. Whereas Mamdani said, we have to do something very different in this city. We have to address affordability in a whole new way. And people felt it. They heard it. And they emotionally responded. And that you saw this stunning turnout, especially in the early vote and with younger voters.
Right, and he was up against a lot. I mean, for Cuomo, for his part, right, he had the backing of Super PAC and groups supporting him, spending tens of millions of dollars to defeat Mamdani. What does that tell you?
I think it's a real reminder to everyone out there that money in politics is really overrated. Michael Bloomberg gave Andrew Cuomo almost $10 million in the last few weeks. And it was turned into really negative, harsh, inaccurate advertising. It failed. By the way, Michael Bloomberg himself spent $1 billion on his own presidential campaign and got like a few delegates to the convention. So it's so much more than money. I'm always reminded of Bernie Sanders in 2016, 2020, where message and ideas and authenticity were more powerful than all the money in the world. So that's what happened here. Zorhan is a guy who actually feels what he says. He's not perfect, but he is an authentic human being. And the voters felt he was on their side and going to do something about the stuff they were really dealing with. This would be a message, actually, I think, to Democrats nationally as well. Kitchen table issues. Zorhan talked about affordability all day long. Not the stereotypes that Democrats lost in social issues, one thing or another. He focused on free bus service. He focused on childcare. He focused on rent and how to lower rents. And that's what people wanted to hear about. I would argue, Pam, if our Democratic leaders in 2024 had had such message discipline and such a focus on affordability, we actually could have beaten Donald Trump.